Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. How's the first session, devotees?
Haribol. Haribol.
Okay, so you should be more enthusiastic, especially when Haribol is here. Can you please do a big loud Haribol?
Haribol! Haribol! Haribol!
So the next part of the program is going to be led by our very own Prabhupada disciple who lives at Bhaktivedanta Mana, who has served for many, many years at Bhaktivedanta Mana, who is an inspiration for many of us, whether it's as a priest or as a preacher, as a singer. If you have CDs of Kripamoya of the early days, whether as a Kirtaniya, an amazing preacher, mentor, initiating spiritual master as well. We're very, very fortunate at Bhaktivedanta Mana. We're almost spoiled here at Bhaktivedanta Mana, but we must individually all take the opportunity to take advantage of the association that we have here. Because there are many, many temples that don't get this association. So Prabhu is also going to speak about developing this sacred space, the inner space, in being able to serve and offer our lives to Krishna. So can we please, very enthusiastically, gratefully welcome and thank His Grace Kripamoya Prabhu!
Haribol! Haribol! Haribol!
When they told me come and give a talk to the volunteers, I thought it was some new people that had just come in. And I look around the room and I've known you all for 30 years. Now I'm nervous. What do I speak about? You've heard everything. You've been to all the classes, kirtans, been to all the pep talks. You've met every brahmachari from Chowpatty 6 times already. What is there more that can be said? In our life, most of what we do as devotees is course correction. When an airplane goes to another country, it doesn't fly in a straight line. Because of the wind, it goes like this and it goes like this, and the captain, the pilot, he's course correcting. When a ship goes from London to New York, or from Southampton to New York, my friend just went on a ship. He said, I'm tired of flying. I said, how long is it going to take you to get to New York? He said, I don't care. I'm fed up with turbulence. I said, you do know the sea has waves, so you sailed. Anyway, the captain on a ship is course correcting. So the course of a ship that wants to go as quickly as possible in a straight line is usually a zigzag. And it's the same with us. The same with us. We are going for a little bit and drifting. Why do we drift? Because our attention span is somewhat limited. When you pick up a bead bag, I don't know about you, but when I pick up a bead bag, that's when my attention span begins to be very limited. I start drifting away. I start thinking of shopping lists, right? So it goes like this: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Carrots, peas. Need to get some rice. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. That tire was looking a bit flat. I've got to get that pumped up. The mind begins to drift. But what does Krishna say? Yato yato nishcharati manaschanchalanastam. Bring the mind back. So most of what we do, it seems, in spiritual life, is bringing ourselves back to where we started. But most of us think, I'm not a good devotee. I'm not a good devotee because, and then you start making a list of all the reasons why you're not a good devotee. And then you get depressed. And then you look at your bead bag and you think, no, I'm not good enough for that. So my dear friends, hold on. Hold on. Because we all get deviated, but we all have to course correct and bring ourselves back on the truth. And we're all in the same business. We're all doing it. But the most wonderful thing is that we've discovered how important Krishna is in our life, isn't it?
Yes.
That is the most amazing thing. So never slight yourself, never give yourself a bad school report in the school of bhakti. When you get puffed up, then you can give yourself a bad report. But on a normal day, think, I'm so lucky to have discovered Krishna in my life. So, once upon a time, you know the story because I tell it every time I'm asked. Once upon a time, there was a man who lived in the Gira forest in Gujarat. And he was making charcoal. How do you call that in Gujarati? Kolsa. So charcoal, kolsa, is a very good thing. It's not as heavy as wood, but it burns very nicely. You can put it in your... In Africa we used to have these Jiko stoves. Who's from Uganda? Who's from Kenya? Look at that, the one actually ever arrived. So you have your little stove and you put your charcoal in, you boil up something. So anyway, he was making charcoal in the forest, kolsa in the forest. One day, you know this story? No. You know the story? You don't know? Okay, good. Oh, that's all right. I can stop. Nothing worse than hearing a story that you've heard before. You see everybody's faces go, She's telling the same stories over again. So, Kolsa. So he was making, and a man came, and the man was running. The man was like this. And he was looking everywhere, couldn't find where he was, and the sweat was pouring on his forehead, and he was scratched. He said, my friend, can you help me? I'm lost. My horse ran off, I was in the forest. Can you help me? He said, yes, sir, please come. Besija. Besija. Honey? You gave him some dokla. Well, I did tell you it was going to be out. The man said, thank you very much. He said, I've eaten 16 dokla. Now I'm a little tired. No, can I take a little rest? So he slept. That night, he stayed all night. He woke up in the morning and he said, my friend, you've been very kind to me. You took me in as a stranger, you didn't know who I was, and you looked after me. I'm very touched. You've moved me. But I asked him, can you do one more thing for me? Can you take me out of the forest? He said, yes. Follow me. So they went out of the forest. He said, look, I've asked you for so much. I asked you for water, you gave me water. Food, you gave me dokla. You gave me a place to stay for the night. You take me out of the forest. I have one more thing. One little thing I need to ask you. Can you walk one more mile with me, please? My friend. He said, yes, of course. So after a mile, they came to a forest, and it was a Chandan Vriksha forest. Forest full of Chandan trees, sandalwood trees. He said, look, I haven't been straight with you. I've got a secret I want to tell you. He said, you don't know who I am, do you? He said, no, sir. I just want to help you. He said, yes, I'm very touched. He said, actually, I'm the king. I'm the king of the whole area. And now I want to give you this forest, your own forest of Chandan trees. Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Maharaj went home to his palace in Ahmedabad. One year went by, the king came back, and he came all the way to see the little Kolsa maker. He says, how are you? Come join. He said, Bahut Sarasche, Your Majesty. Bahut Sarasche. Paramanand. He said, so I did notice one thing. It's very nice to see your health, but I noticed one thing. The Chandan forest is gone completely. All the trees have gone. Kya? Kya? He said, Your Majesty, I made them all into charcoal. He said, but did you not realize if you take one little tiny piece of chandan and you crush it, you can get the oil and sell the oil for money that would be worth 100 bags of charcoal, 1,000 bags of charcoal. And the little charcoal maker, he hung his head and he said, Your Majesty, Maharaja, I don't know about these things. I don't know what is inside, I only saw the wood on the outside. I make charcoal. I see wood, I burn it. So, the moral of the story is, we have been given a human body. We look at it and we think to ourselves, this body is the same as everybody else's body. Everybody else is enjoying life, I should also enjoy life. 70, 80 years, I better start enjoying life now. I better burn it. So we burn the candle at both ends. University, we start burning the candle. University, parties, employment, marriage, children, old age, we burn. But if we only know that there's something deep within us which has a beautiful fragrance, which can be released by the right technique. So there's two things you need. One is the knowledge that that's within you. That fragrance is the soul. Once you know that the soul is inside and the soul has a beautiful perfume, beautiful, you know the story of the musk deer. He didn't know where the perfume was coming from. It was coming within him. So once you know that that is there, that beautiful thing that you have, known as the soul, which is you. Second thing you must know is the technique for being able to see it and experience it. And that is known as yoga. So one who knows the yoga process will release that beautiful perfume, and one who doesn't will just burn through the body in many years. Hare Krishna, that's my story. Thank you. Can I go? So, you are volunteers for Krishna. And it means that you have taken some time out of your life and you said, this is so important to me. Krishna Seva is so important. Bhagavan Seva is so important. That I now dedicate my time to doing that. You made your time sacred. You see. And for that we are most appreciative. I know Krishna Purna, where is she? Krishna Purna is she? She will wave a flag for any of you. She will defend you to the death. You should see her at a senior management meeting at Bhaktivedanta. Anybody says anything about the volunteers, she will stand up, put her hands on both hips and say, come and get me. You have to go through me first. Those are my people. She will fight your opponent. So we do very much honor the time that you've chosen to separate for Krishna, because it's a making sacred. What is the word sacred? It's an English word, isn't it, sacred? It comes from the Latin word. Right now, as we speak, with my X-ray vision, I see, this is a mystic, after chanting Hare Krishna for 50 years, people are mystic. I see a group of people dressed in red, sitting in the Vatican. They're choosing the next pope. In my mystic vision, I see all this. Actually, I saw it on the BBC. So from the Latin words, which is the old Roman words, you get the word sacra. Sacra. Sacra means to set something apart, to dedicate it for some higher purpose. Sacra. And when you make an offering to God with that sacra, it becomes what? Sacred. But sacra, sacrifice. Sacrifice, yeah. See what we did there? Connecting words. So making something sacred. I've made my time sacred. I'm going to volunteer for Krishna. I'm going to set aside some time. That time does not belong to me. It belongs to God. Whatever they want me to do, I will do. This is sacred time. And then that time becomes a sacrifice. So you'll have some people come to the Bhaktivedanta Manor, and they will be signed up as the life members and patrons and big donors. They'll get their name in the Goshala. You know where you are at Bhaktivedanta. There's a plaque. Anything that's important, there's a plaque. Have you got a plaque? Any of you got a plaque? Krishna Purna, we need a plaque for the volunteers. We've got a plaque for the Goshala, plaque for the Haveli, plaque for the benches. Come on, everybody here needs a plaque. Start work on it. We want to honor your commitment. So this setting aside of time is a great sacrifice, but there's a great reward for it as well. Krishna reciprocates. Patram pushpam balam toyam yomi bhakti prajati. And if you believe this, Krishna reciprocates with you. One time, Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan temple. And he was looking out, they just started the temple, and it was full. They call, you know what they call the Vrindavan temple, Krishna Balaram temple? They call it the Ingrezi Mandir. The English Mandir. We don't say that anymore. So he was looking at everybody there, and he said, so, have you been to the Arya Samaj temple in Vrindavan? The devotee said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. How many people were there? It was empty, Srila Prabhupada. Why was it empty? Why is Arya Samaj Mandir empty and ours is full? Because Krishna says, Ashnami, Ashnami, I eat. We believe that Krishna eats, and so we feed him. Krishna and Balaram, we believe that they eat, we feed them. Krishna is not an abstract idea of philosophy. Krishna is here in this temple. We feed him, he eats. He comes here to eat. Therefore, Krishna becomes manifest. That makes Krishna very attractive. Otherwise, we become like the person who Prabhupada always called him Arjunacharya. He crossed out the lines that said that if you serve me, I will reciprocate with you, I will supply to you what you lack. Anything that you don't have in your life, I will give you. This is a big thing, isn't it? First of all, we're asked to believe that Krishna can eat. Next, we're asked to believe that if Krishna does eat, then Krishna reciprocates in my life in many, many ways, many other ways, giving me what I lack, supplying to me what I don't have, preserving what I don't have. So many people don't believe that Krishna eats. You'll see where I'm going in a second. Everybody knows the name of Narasimha, right? Your mum taught you the song. Vaishnava Janato. See? I just do this together. I know it gets more. So Narasimha was a young boy. Before he'd written that song, his father went away and said, I want you to offer the daily ladus to Krishna Bhagavan. Narasimha was only 7 years old and he put the plate on him. He said, my dear Lord Krishna, you have not eaten. My father said I would offer this to you and you should eat, but you haven't eaten. Please eat. And Krishna responded to his devotion, came and ate. His father came back and said, okay, where's the Mahaprasad Ladu? He said, Krishna ate it. So what do you mean, you ate it? No, Father, Krishna ate it. See? He said, all right, let us do it again. So then the father was standing at the side. Narasimha made an offering. Krishna again came to eat it. You see? In the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was a baby, a wandering sadhu came to his father, Jagannath Mishra. He said, I want to make an offering. I haven't eaten all day. Please make some arrangements. So one family was telling me, one Gujarati family was telling me, that in the old days, the Brahmins used to come to their house and they would cook for them and they would eat so much. And then another man said to me, yes, but in our house, we just used to put the vegetables and the Brahmins would eat. They would do all the cooking, you see. Prabhupada said, what is a Brahmin? Did you see 10 men, 10 Brahmins walking along the road at midday, and half an hour later you'll see 10 Brahmins cooking. This is Brahmin, cooking for himself. He said, yes. Another man said, when they used to come to our house, my father used to put out a lota of ghee. And every Brahmin would drink a lota of ghee. Imagine drinking a lota of ghee. Can you?
No.
No. Good for brahmachari diet, though. And instead of being like this, all brahmacharis would be like this. So the Brahmin cooked, and of course he made his prayers. Namo Brahmani Devaya Brahmana Raja Jagadaya Krishna Govindaya Namo. His offerings. And then he heard, just before he opened his eyes, he looked, there was baby Nima had come. He was eating the offerings off the altar. Hari Bapare! Hari Bapare! What are you doing? Ouch! Ouch! He cooked again. He just finished the mantra. He said, oh, what has happened? He called his father. He said, please take your child away. It's late at night. I'm so hungry. He did it for the third time. He opened his eyes. He said, why are you eating every time? He said, you're calling me. You're asking me to come. I'm coming. Why are you getting annoyed? This is how it works. You don't understand? I'm Krishna. Patram Pushpam Balam Toya. Yami Bhakti. Yami Bhakti, you're offering with love. I'm coming. I'm eating. Which part of that don't you understand? So it's very interesting. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes we feel very far away from Krishna, isn't it? Feel very far away. We think that I have to do this and I have to do that. Then I'll have a connection with Krishna. Krishna is much more easy to attain in one sense. Simply requires simple faith. Simple faith. Even a child can see Krishna with this simple faith. We have many miracles in our community where devotees have had just the right thing happen at just the right time because they firmly believe that Krishna will take care of them. This is what it means. When we do, it is called Sharanagati. Sharanagati. We place ourselves as a consignment to the Lord. In old India, if you want to open a bank account, you can have a current account or a deposit account, isn't it? Any bankers here today? Any accountants? You can have a deposit account and if you want a deposit account in ancient India, an account is a lepa. And if you want a deposit account, it's a nikshepa. So if you want a deposit account, it's a nikshepa lepa. So I bring £500. I say, please put it in my deposit account. This is if you've got a person to speak to. These days, we don't even get a bank teller to speak to. It's all AI. Good morning. How are you? Please place your deposit in the deposit drawer. We would like to speak to people. So if I have a deposit to make, but the acharyas have said that when you do Sharanagati, it is like making Atma Nikshepa, a deposit of your soul. Hello, this is my soul. I'm depositing this, my soul, in the bank of Krishna. Krishna, please look after this. Please look after this for me. So this is given as a recommendation by the Lord himself to Lakshmi. So the Lord speaks to Lakshmi, and Lakshmi speaks this in the Lakshmi Tantra, which is her book on how to do bhakti. More of that later. But I wanted to say something about the magnificent job that we are doing in trying to create sacred space. Sacred space means we take something and we separate it from something else, which is, they say, the opposite of sacred is profane, or we would say mundane, just ordinary domestic life. Just like when you create an altar in your home. Who's got an altar in their home? Just about everybody. Yeah? It's a place where who gets to be on your altar? Your uncle? Come on. I know. Auntie? Grandmother? They're all looking very nervous now. I've seen, you don't know, but we've installed cameras in your homes. That's what it means to be a volunteer. Kripamoya has a miniature camera. That last time you invited her to come to your home, she installed it. You can see what you get up to. There's a camera in the main room and a camera in the fridge. We're checking. Only the best volunteers will get through. No, but we're making arrangements to separate things in our life, to create spaces. Everybody does that in every religion, and we do it in ours also. I know I wanted to say something. What we're trying to do is we're trying to prioritize and do the things which are most important first. See? And so that may take time to do it, and it may take space to do it. One thing I wanted to say. Let me just think. Oh yeah. The other couple of days ago, although I don't look like it, a couple of days ago I was in hospital. So I had to go for an operation. Little operation, not a big one. Small adjustment. But I said to the anaesthetist, it was general anesthetic, I said, can I just go through to see the operating theatre before you send me unconscious? She said, no, you can't see them. That's just for surgeons only. And no one gets in there. That's their sacred space. Why is it a sacred space? Because that's going to save somebody's life. And you can't come in. You're unclean. That's clean. So we make a dividing line between what is clean and what is unclean, isn't it? Most places. Or you go to Tesco's, okay, and they owe you, I don't know, £2 change, and you reach out towards the till to take the money from the till, and they will tell you, no, you can't touch that. You can't touch it. That's a sacred space. That's our space. Or where else do we get sacred spaces? Something that's set aside that you can't go of your. Pretty much everywhere, isn't it? Give me some suggestions. Throw something at me. It doesn't have to be spiritual, just an ordinary.
Football clubs.
Huh?
Football clubs.
The?
Football clubs.
Football clubs, yeah. How's the sacred space there?
If you are an Arsenal fan, you can't get into.
Yeah. What happens if I go, Arsenal is what?
Oh,
Red?
Bottles thrown at you.
Yeah.
Beaten.
If you're part of the red team and you go through the wrong door and you're in the door with the blue team, what do you think happens to you? You've polluted the space. Ah! Who is this fellow wearing a blue scarf? Okay, you can't do that. Where else?
In the bank. Workplaces.
At the bank? Yeah. You can't go behind, can you? You can't go behind. Have you ever tried that? Going into a bank and saying, please read this note. Please read this note. And you've written on it, no, I'm just saying, please read this note. And on the note it says, I want to see your vault. What do you think would happen? Taken away. So, in every area of life we have a Maryad. Everywhere is a Maryad. This becomes very prominent when we read about Lord Ramchandra, who is Maryad Purushottam. someone who gives us the borders between that which is sacred and that which is profane, that which is done and which is not done, that which is clean and which is unclean. You see? So in our life, we're always dividing things between that which is sacred and that which is profane. The only difference when we come to Krishna consciousness is that we take that which is bhakti, that which is to do with Krishna, and we say, yes, now I'm going to include you in my space. Okay? We're linking up with Krishna. Okay? That's the difference. And we do that on a daily basis. We renew our relationship with Krishna. The idea of Sharanagati is, yes, I believe I'm a devotee of Krishna, or get initiated, or whatever it is I do as a commitment. But on a daily basis, I have to renew that every day. And very, very essential in our course correction. We okay? We all right so far? So, I was seeing on the back wall there, we have problems in Israel, don't we? Have you been following the news? Israel and Gaza. There's a border between the two. The latest problems began when people from this side of the border came and did atrocities on that side of the border. And now we have a problem with people on this side of the border going to that side of the border. Borders, sometimes they're meant to keep the peace. And if you can't have borders, then peace becomes very difficult. So the Jewish people, they had a system whereby they had one temple, and it was in Jerusalem. It was on a big hill, and everybody would go to that temple. It was like their Bhaktivedanta Manor. They would go there for everything. Well, they had some car parking spaces. They would go there, so the food was there, and they made sacrifices. The sacrifices they made was that they had an idea that if you kill an animal, then because the animal is valuable, this was your sacrifice. And we don't follow that system. So inside the temple there was a lot of animals being killed. Then, unfortunately, along came an army, a Roman army, and they completely destroyed the temple in AD 70. And the Jewish people had to leave the land of Israel and go all over, up through Greece and Turkey and Europe and different places like that. You know the story. So now what could they do? The temple was sacred. The religion was based on the temple. If you can't go to the temple, how are you going to make an offering? How are you going to make a sacrifice? So they had to change the religion. They had to make, instead of the temple sacred, there was no more temple. They had to make the home sacred. So the sacred place in the Jewish home is the dining table. That's the altar. I like that idea. I've had some pretty sacred meals in your homes. It is, isn't it? That's where they gather for prayer. That's where they read the holy book, where they light the candles and bring in the Sabbath, which is the holy weekend. It's where they say more prayers and offer love to the family, where they eat their food. So the whole table becomes a temple. In the same way, when the British came to Gujarat, and they brought Gujaratis from India to East Africa. In East Africa there was no Hinduism at all, ever. For thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years, there's been no Hinduism in Africa. So every single Gujarati person, when they came, every Indian person that came, had to recreate sacred spaces. Recreate sacred spaces. So the Sanatan Dharma people had to create beautiful temples. The Shivites had to create beautiful temple. I know I used to live in Mombasa. Anybody from Mombasa? Well, okay. You know Saudia, Kenya, right? Yeah, Kilindini, right? We had a little temple there. But it was, originally it was a house. We created a temple. We wanted a temple. And then one day a man came along and said, I heard you're making a temple. Would you like murti of Lakshmi Narayan? We said, yes. So we installed the murti. It was the only ISKCON temple with Chaturabhuj Narayan and Lakshmi on the main altar. Anyway, so everybody had to recreate the temples as they were going by. You know, one time we used to like preaching sometimes in different parts of the country. So I wanted to go to a place that had never seen a white man before. So I went there. And it was just a circle of huts, mud huts, with grass roofs. And I said, I want to see the chief. I want to tell him the message. We were giving everybody the message. Imba ya jina ya Mwenyezi Mungu. Imba. Imba means chant. Chant the name of Almighty God. Hare Krishna, or as they would say down there, Hare Christina. I do like your mantra, Hare Christina. They'll bring out their drums. Anyway, the chief welcomed us into his home, and I thought, I'm the first white man ever to have set foot in this town. And I looked inside the hut, and there on the wall of the hut, the grass hut, was a picture of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nityananda that he pinned to the wall. There was only one picture on the wall, that was a picture of Panchatattva Harinarayana. Amazing, I thought, someone's got here before me. Somebody had given him a magazine. He created a sacred space, even in the heart of an African village, because he was attracted. So all the temples had to be created all over again. That is, everybody's been to Baps, yeah? Been to Baps in Neasden. I was in the Swaminarayan Temple in Robertsville, in New Jersey. I was just the other day, just a couple of weeks ago, in Delhi to see the Akshardham in Delhi. Magnificent place, magnificent. But it all had to be created, it all expanded from one small temple in Haile Selassie Road in Mombasa. There was two Swaminarayan temples next door to each other. One was a Kachi Swaminarayan and one was a Baps. But the Baps temple is smaller than this temple. And everything expanded. And that, in my life, I have come to see that as one emblem of that if you have something that's a good idea, you plant that good idea and it expands unlimitedly. Now everybody treats Swaminarayan very, very seriously. When I was a kid, when I was 17, I walked in Bhaktivedanta Manor and I said, I'm interested in joining the Hare Krishna movement. Where is it? There was about 20 people living at the manor. The manor was filled with cobwebs. The paint was peeling off the walls. There was no hot water. There was no Krishna Purna in the kitchen. No volunteers. And the only thing we had for breakfast, no paper plates. We said squares of greaseproof paper. And we would have porridge, and then 5 chickpeas, and a little slice of orange. That was it. Yes. Terrible times. No, not even a dokla. So, anyway, so I said to them, I would like to join. Where is the Hare Krishna movement? They said, well, we're in the middle of making it happen. You can join if you like. You can help to make it happen. I said, okay, what do I do? They said, well, we go from town to town and we sing and we pass out books and we do this and that. I said, okay. And then for 6 years, I was traveling from town to town, everywhere. And by that time, we built the Hare Krishna movement, so it was developing. So we're not finished yet. Everything that you have created as volunteers is just the beginnings. You wait till we get going. you will look back on these days, 2025, as the old days. Do you remember back then when we didn't have this and we didn't have that? Prime Minister wasn't a Vaishnava. Interesting, we just had our first member of the House of Lords, isn't it? You know Krish Rahal? You know Krish? He was the one who helped us to do the... When he was a youngster, he used to come and play cricket on the lawn of the manor. Remember him? Never joined Pandasena. Just played cricket on the lawn. It was always a cricket place. Anyway. So I met him just recently. He said, "Oh, I've had my name changed." I said, "What? Have you got initiated?" He said, "No, I'm the Lord." I said, "What's your new name?" He said, "My new name is Lord Raval Heartsmere." So the very Heartsmere that brought the Alsatian dogs to bark at men and women when we went to campaign and protest, the very same Heartsmere now has a Lord who's a devotee. And when he entered the House of Lords, he put his hand on the Bhagavad Gita, as it is. Wow, wow, wow. Bolo Krishna Kanaya. So we don't know the one who pulls the strings. We're trying to get to know him. So we have to, when I was young, they said to me, "You should learn how to cook." My grandfather knew how to cook. He was a good cook. Krishna Purna. He learned how to cook in the British Army. He learned how to cook with spices in Allahabad, as it was at that time. Because he was a good cook, they asked him to come and cook for some of the officers. So he was in a battle, and the British lost the battle, and hundreds of them were captured and put in prison. And some officers were there, and they didn't have very good food, so they asked him to come and cook. And amongst the officers was one young man who was like an aristocrat, and his name was Winston Churchill. So my grandfather cooked for him. Later on, when he had no money, because he became a preacher after the British Army, his wife used to say to him, "You knew him when he was a young lad. Why don't you go and ask him for something to help?" And I was thinking, I've heard that story before somewhere, but he never did. Anyway, so we are in the business of recreating. Ultimately, we're recreating the sacred space that is the spiritual world. This is what we're creating. Sacred spaces means, I'll give you an example. I took, sometimes I go on trips to India. We've just come back from a trip to India. We have 28 of us all together. 25 of English people, never been to India before. I know what it's like when we're in India. They just look like this. Everything is like, wow. And if the devotees, wow. And one time I took them to a very busy temple. We went to Sri Rangam temple, early in the morning. I thought, let me give them an experience, because I love Sri Rangam and Sri Vaishnavas. And they were pushed, they were pulled, they were elbowed. Somebody was asking them, somebody was shouting at them, somebody was pointing this way, that way. One priest got angry with them. She came out, she said, she was in tears. She said, "I thought you said it was a sacred place." I said, "Yes, this is a sacred place in India." Sometimes it's noisy, isn't it? How's Chapati? Noisy? Can be like that, huh? Then I took them to another temple. It was called Tiruvalur, the Adi Keshava temple in Kerala. So we took them there. Again, we went same time in the morning. How many people were there? 4. Big temple, 4. You could hear the birds singing. You could hear one priest chanting. You could, which is very, very. And they were walking around, they were looking around here saying, this place is so spiritual. It's so sacred. So for the mind, a sacred space is a place where we can be free from the shopping list of the mind. Carrots, peas, fix the tire, pick up the kids, take the kids to karate, go to pick up a newspaper, whatever it is. Our mind is always a shopping list of unlimited things that we have to do. But to take it and suspend it for some time, and it sometimes requires a sacred space that reminds you of who you are. Therefore, when you go to a sacred building, a sacred space, you're reminded of your spiritual identity. That's why often in India, the sacred space is on top of the hill, isn't it? In the south of India, you go to the top of the hill. Sometimes, I was in a place called Melokoti. Melokoti, you go 1,000 steps. By the time you get to the top of the hill, you've done pranayama. So we had all these British people with us. And there's a beautiful temple of Lord Nrsimhadev and Darshan. And all these British people, because I believe it came up. And we told them, we're going to see someone special at the top of the hill. To make the effort, make the physical effort, do the breathing. And some of them were quite large. But we made them all go to the top of the hill. And the Darshan came. At least half a dozen of them were just crying. The darshan. It's interesting, this happened to a friend of mine. He was Jewish. And when they take tourists to India now, you land in Delhi, what's the first place everybody wants to go and see?
Taj Mahal.
Taj Mahal. Kya karte? Why? Once you've seen it, that's it. Have you been there?
Yeah.
How long does the surprise last? Maybe 3 minutes. And then you look at your watch and think, why am I here? My life is too important for this. They want to go to the Taj Mahal. But now what happens is that they stop along the way. And occasionally they take them to Vrindavan. So you go 2 hours from Delhi, you go into Vrindavan, and then they stop at the first temple that you get to on the Chatikar Road, which is the Krishna Balaram Mandir, Ingrezi Mandir, the CIA temple. But now the head of the CIA chants Hare Krishna, so maybe it was true all along. Anyway, so he's a Jewish man, and Jewish people have no form of God, not a person. It's just a question mark, pretty much. And so he was there for Arti. The curtains opened. Govindam Hari Purusham Om Om. And he was just looking and he was thinking, what is this? And he was thinking, and he told me this is what happens. This is what was happening. He said, I don't believe in this. This is not my religion. I don't believe in all this. But I'm feeling I want to cry. I'm crying. And he started to cry. Then his mind got filled with this thought. Why am I crying? This has nothing to do with me. It's beautiful, but why am I crying? And in that moment, his heart was changed. And now, of course, he's an initiated devotee. But this was his first ever contact in the sacred space that is the Krishna Balaram Temple. So sacred space is ultimately what reminds us not only of the spiritual world, but of our place in the spiritual world. That's what we're trying to reproduce. And we can do that in our homes as well. So cleanliness, just like that operating theatre, you can't go in there unless you have clean clothes, clean hands, clean mouth. Otherwise, you'll be contaminated and someone else will be contaminated too. So when we approach our altar in our home, we need to be clean. We we can feel the presence of the Lord. And it should be quiet. That's what I want to say. It should be quiet. If something's quiet, and the mind can be a little peaceful. So we need a space where we can do that. I go to so many people's homes. It's my service, you could say, is to go to people's homes and see the quiet spaces that they've made for themselves. You know, now sometimes I go to a house and there's a little Krishna, and little Krishna's on top of the TV. No, that's more difficult now. That was a few years ago. Because now the TVs are that thin. You can't have anything on the top of the TV. And they're fixed to the wall higher. And I look and I see and I give ways that people can improve it. And sometimes Krishna just takes over with our people, you know. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. The miracles that I am on the receiving end of. Just like we had one man, and he was an Englishman, and he was going to a group of Sangha near Birmingham, and he had a problem. His problem was that he really liked fishing. He liked to go out with his fishing rod by the river, casting, and just wait. I said, why do you like it? He said, well, it's like meditation. I said, well, not really, because you're trying to kill a fish. The end of your meditation is someone dies. The end of my meditation is someone lives. He said, well, I like it. I said, well, stop doing it. You have to make a sacrifice. Sacrifice means, in order to make my life sacred, I stop doing what is mundane, what is profane. So please. So for 6 weeks he was able to stop fishing. And on the 6th week he thought to himself, I can't take this anymore. Hare Krishnas are asking for too much. I've given up everything. I've given up this, given up that, given up this, given up that. I'm saying the mantra over and over and over again. At least let me keep my fishing. So on Sunday morning he went out and he was just sitting there. Half an hour, 1 hour, hour and a half. Then he caught a fish. The stick was like this. You know, and he saw fish named. There was a plastic bag. He pulled in the plastic bag. And you know how, if you're Gujarati, proper Gujarati, your grandfather's Bhagavad Gita that's fallen to pieces. You don't just throw it away, you put it in the river, don't you? But you don't want the Bhagavad Gita to get wet because it's sacred. So you put it inside a plastic bag and then you put it in the river. Which makes all the difference, right? Right? You've done it, right? So he pulled in the plastic bag, he opened it up, and it was a Bhagavad Gita. He looked up to the sky and he said, okay, I get it. You don't want me to go fishing. There's another man. He was changing jobs, which meant that he had to go 300 miles to a place called Leeds. Anyone know Leeds? Yeah. It's outside the M25, so I'm surprised that you do know it. You do know that the country goes on beyond the M25. just checking. So anyway, he had to go to Leeds. And he had a lot of books in his shelves. He couldn't take them all with him. He was downsizing, so he got rid of a lot of books, took them to the charity shop. And one of those books was the Bhagavad Gita. He never read it. Because the Bhagavad Gita is a world classic. Did you know that? It's now, Bhagavad Gita is one of the books that, if you collect world classics, like Shakespeare, the Bible, you have to have this book in your house. Okay? It's a classic. But unfortunately, world classic means it's a book I never read. The definition of a world classic is I put it on the shelf and I look at it, but I don't read it. So he gave them all away. He moved house. 3 months later, somebody 3 doors down, was also moving house. And there was a skip, dumpster, my American friends. A skip in the garden. He was throwing out all kinds of things, bicycle and furniture, pretty bookcase from IKEA, all the things you throw out, fondue set from the 1960s, all of them. You don't take it to a boot sale, you put it in the skip. So he said, well, let me go and get something from there. So he knocked on the door. He said, do you mind if I take some books from your skip? He said, no, take them away. He took 10 books, put them on his bookshelf. 3 weeks later, he said, oh, that Bhagavad Gita. He said, I used to have the Bhagavad Gita. He pulled the book down from the shelf, he opened it. Oh my God. It was his name inside the Bhagavad Gita. It was his Bhagavad Gita. His Bhagavad Gita, his copy of the Bhagavad Gita with his name inside, had followed him 300 miles. And Lord Krishna said, hello. Every move you make, every breath you take, I'll be watching you. So, people, when they bring Krishna into their life, suddenly Krishna jumps out of them from everywhere. I was in America giving a small talk like this in Florida, and one man who was 54 years of age, he came up to me afterwards and he said, very interesting talk. I said, what do you do for a living? I always ask people what they do for a living. He said, well, I'm a yoga teacher. And I was thinking, well, yoga teacher, you don't make much money being a yoga teacher. But I didn't say that. Well, he looked as if he had money. He said, well, I have a yoga school. I said, well, where do you teach? He said, all over America. I have 30 branches. So I said, so you visit them all? He said, yes. Every week, I'm in 3 different cities, and I fly everywhere. So because he was 54, I asked him, so you must have seen our Hare Krishna devotees, everywhere, selling books in the airport. Never. I never met one. Until a few weeks ago. He said, now I see them everywhere. Up until that time, he'd not been interested. Now, when he was interested, Krishna revealed everywhere. And this is what Krishna tells Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna says that when you first want spiritual life, your mind is like a guru. Your own mind will be able to work things out. This is what I need, this is what I don't need anymore. Your own mind will be able to do that. Your own mind is your guru. He said, then, just a little while after, he said, let me tell you what happens. And Krishna tells the story about a young man who's achieved Brahma Nirvana. He's achieved the utmost spiritual success in his life. Tears coming from his eyes, he's laughing and dancing. And he meets the king, and the king says, how did you get to be so spiritual? How did your life become so sacred? Tell me. So he says, well, I have a guru. He says, please tell me who that guru is. I want to meet him myself. He says, well, actually I had 24 gurus. You know the story? 24 gurus, the king said. How can you have 24 gurus? That's too many for one man. He said, no. And then he begins to tell him how Bhagavan has reached out to him through nature. And that by seeing the mountain, by seeing the tree, by seeing the bear, by seeing different creatures, the honeybee, he's been able to get lessons. So the whole universe becomes sacred in the sense that I was looking for Krishna, and now Krishna, I'm convinced, is looking for me. And then it becomes a personal relationship. Because you realize wherever you go, you take Krishna with you, as long as you remember him. So it's a beautiful story. And it happens to our people. And sometimes, unfortunately sometimes, when we come, first of all, to Krishna consciousness, it is very spiritually dynamic. And there's a lot of reciprocation from Krishna. But sometimes we go off the boil, as my mother would say. You let the pan go off the boil, and now it's not cooking properly. So sometimes what happens is we start being spiritually dynamic, and then we fall into what I call religion. Religion. If you take your finger, just take your finger, because you need to wake up something. Take your finger. Put your finger behind your knee, okay, and feel behind your knee. Okay? That's called the ligament. Ligament. Okay? And what it does, it's not a bone, but it joins the bones together. Legare. There's another Latin word, legare. There's something which joins two things together. So, legare means to be joined also to God. And relegare means to be rejoined to God. So, relegare, or religion, is a means of being spiritually connected to the divine. But sometimes we get left with the rituals and we forget the purpose of it, isn't it? Once there was a Brahmin, this is a Prabhupada story, once there was a Brahmin, and every day he'd go down to the Ganga and he'd have a bath, and he had 2 containers. What he used to do is, you take your bath and then you do your puja. And you have your puja items. So in Bengal, they like puja items in the shape of fish. In Bengal, they love fish. They eat them, but they have saris with the design of fish. Have you seen? You ever bought a Calcutta sari, ladies? Calcutta saris have fish on. Anyway, the puja items will also be shaped like fish. So this Brahmin had 2 fish-shaped spoons, which he called kushik and kushur. And he noticed that other Brahmins were trying to copy him, because he was a senior Brahmin. So they also brought spoons shaped like 2 fish. They were just younger Brahmins, they were copying him as the elder man. So, in order that he would find his spoons, he took 2 bowls of Ganges mud, and he put one in one spoon and one in the other spoon. And then he went to have his bath. When he came out of his bath, he saw that all the other Brahmins had put bowls of mud in it. They thought it was a ritual that they hadn't done before. Like the lady who just got married, you know that one. The lady just got married, and the husband said, "So, you're going to make me dokla?" This is what husbands do, you know. You become a volunteer. You're a volunteer, cooking all the time. The husband said, "Where's the dokla?" She said, "Well, I couldn't find the cat." He said, "What do you mean you couldn't find the cat? We don't have a cat." "No, my mother told me. My mother told me how to cook. And every time she used to take the cat and put it in a basket and then wash her hands to start cooking. So I wanted to make you dokla, but I couldn't find a cat to put in a basket." So her performance, because she didn't understand what she was doing, it has been reduced to a ritual, which she then couldn't follow. So we don't want to reduce everything to ritual. So it's very important to know why we do things. I'm getting to the end. So for us, Prabhuji this morning, thank you very much, Prabhuji. I wasn't here, but I heard it was a great class. Wasn't it a great class? Yes. Give him another round of applause. That's what happens when you go to IIT. I hope you did go to IIT.
No.
How can you be a Chapati Brahmachari without going to IIT? So, one of the most important teachings I think that I've received is about something called Brahma Muhurta. Each day is divided into different zones that are good for different things. And to really create sacred space in our life, we need to create, first of all, sacred time. sacred time. It's very important that time becomes sacred. Just as you can say, this is £108, I'm now donating this to Kripamoya and anything she wants to do with it. Because I trust her so much. Right, Krishna? So in the same way, we must take 108 minutes, and say, okay, I donate this to Krishna every day. What am I going to do during that time? Well, we chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I forget the rest.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
It's coming back to me.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Oh, thank you, I remember now. It's coming back. So, when I first heard the Hare Krishna mantra, it was like I had heard it before somewhere, but I didn't know where. It was amazing. I saw devotees singing in the rain, and they looked as if they were completely entranced by the sound of the mantra. But I couldn't, it was like something in here, something in my heart was happening, but I couldn't quite understand what was happening. I thought to myself, how can 3 words make such a difference? Anyway, in order to create sacred space within the heart and to create our bodies into a sacred space, we have to create a sacred time. And that is a real sacred sacrifice. It's a real sacrifice because there's a lot of other things that you could be doing with your time, isn't there? And there will always be a reason not to chant japa. Really good reason. I've got so many of them. I can tell you all my reasons for not chanting japa. And we do that because our life is also important for other people as well. We all have jobs. We're all, other people are depending on us. We've got children, or we've got employees, or we've got colleagues, or we've got books that we're supposed to have read by now. Be an intelligent, thoughtful person. I've got so many things I need to do. But japa, if we are to believe everything that we've been told, is the most important thing that we do. So how to do that? Well, japa really doesn't work after breakfast. Not really. It doesn't really work before lunch. It doesn't really work after lunch. You see where I'm going? It doesn't work around tea time. And it definitely doesn't work 12 o'clock at night. How do you say no. It doesn't work. But the time japa does work is when Krishna wants it to be chanted, which is in the Brahma Muhurta. A Brahma Muhurta is a Muhurta which means 48 minutes. 48 minutes. And it begins 96 minutes before the sun comes up. So, one Muhurta, 48 minutes. Another Muhurta, 48 minutes. Add them together, 96 minutes. So we count back. If the sun is coming up at 6 o'clock, do some maths with me. If the sun is coming up at 6 o'clock, count back 96 minutes. It's an hour and a half. Plus 4, around that time, isn't it? 4:20. 4:20. Travis please. There was a man. He robbed someone, and he escaped. He was an escaped convict, and he went to Rishikesh. When he was in Rishikesh, he grew a beard and put on his clothes, Bhagwat-ish. And the police came, but the man was giving a Bhagwat Katha. He was a criminal, but he was doing a Bhagwat Katha, saying this and that. And then the police arrested him. And the local people said, no, this is Sadhguruji. This is Sadhguru. Oh, sorry, did I drop a name there? This is Sadhguru, exo art, Paramahamsa, exo art. The police says, Sadhguru ne, Badguru hai, 420 hai. Anyway, period of time. And it's a sacred time. Now, the clue here, and I shall conclude, the clue here is if you want to do something early in the morning, it's like everybody, if you want to go on holiday, you have to get to Luton by 6 o'clock, isn't it? You have to get to Luton early. So for that, we're willing to sacrifice time. So we're talking about a spiritual holiday to the spiritual world every day. So we have to sacrifice time at the end of the day. That's hard, because that's when you're having conversations, you know, that's when Netflix, I won't say that word again, but Netflix. It's easy, isn't it? It's when we have our downtime, relax, it's our me time, our friend time, our phone call time, our book club reading time. So the night time is pretty much sacred for me. But if your night time is sacred for you, it's very, very difficult to make the morning time sacred for the Lord. So we have to be willing to sacrifice some of the me time at the end of the day so that we get the he time in the morning. See? So, early to bed makes Gujaratis. Sorry, any Punjabis in the room? Yeah, sorry about that. In your next life, you can be born in Gujarat. Punarjanma. Next life, spiritual world. So, it is your best friend in this regard is your alarm clock. Snooze button, kuchne. No snooze button. And if you can get up in the morning, it will revolutionize your spiritual life. Another thing that will revolutionize your spiritual life is don't eat late at night. I've been to some homes. Let me tell you, I was on a trip to Kutch. I had heard so much about Kutch. I was with some other friends. Let's go to Kutch. See the Kutchis. Kutchma, Kasume Paki, Me Bhagat Paki. All the Bhagats come from Kutch. So we were going there. We didn't get to Jamnagar. We got to Jamnagar. You from Jamnagar?
Jamnagar,
Okay. Well, you know that little restaurant that's on the bridge. Anyway. So we got to, this is 1982. And we got to Jamnagar 11 o'clock at night. There was a restaurant still open. We were really, really hungry. So we were eating brinjal sabji at 11:30 at night. Don't do that. Because then we got on a bus to go to Bhuj. And the bus was 50 seats, 75 people on the bus. Bolo Krishna overnight, and in the morning, well, I yawned. Anyway, so to eat it, Prabhupada said one time, he said, yogi means don't eat at night. He said, if you eat grains, it will require 6 hours to digest. If you are digesting food as you go to sleep, you will have lots of dreams. If you have lots of dreams, it means you don't get deep sleep. You need deep sleep to fully recover. Otherwise, by the end of the week, we haven't fully recovered and we're really tired on a Friday. So if you can avoid it, eat earlier. Try to eat earlier so that you digest. Go to sleep earlier. Get up earlier. And your best friend, let me tell you, your best friend, Tanda Pani Snan. Say it with me. Tanda Pani Snan. Tanda Pani Snan. I was introduced to Tanda Pani Snan as a young man, and I've had a cold shower every morning for the past 50 years. And look at me. We will keep you on the path of Krishna consciousness. Because as soon as you turn the Dandapani on, you go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. When you're having a warm shower, you're going. You're just singing some Bollywood song, isn't it? Shampoo. When the cold water comes, then you chant the names of the Lord. So that will keep you sharp, and it will make sure that you wake up so that you don't drowse off during the hour that you're chanting. So sacred space, but another time sacred space, sacred time. Hare Krishna. Anything to add? Any techniques that you've discovered, Krishna Brahma? Any secret techniques? How is your life so Krishna conscious, Krishna Brahma?
I don't have one.
Well, you don't have a life of your own. That's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes we feel, I've given so much, I'm giving so much, I don't know my own life. Where did my life go? One time I came to the devotee and I said, I'm not sure whether I want to go forward with Krishna consciousness. I was 17, so I thought, maybe I want to travel a bit more, maybe I want to get married sometime, maybe I want to believe something else sometime. I've been with the devotees for about 6 weeks, and he said, whatever you want to achieve in life, whatever happiness you think that you can get from somewhere, he said, you will be able to do it with Krishna. Krishna will give you everything you want, but through service to him. I said, well, what about marriage? He said, that's available. He said, anyway, I can see from how you're behaving, he said, I can see that you'll be a sannyasi in 5 years' time. So he really, he pumped me up. Full of hot air. And I went, do you really think so? He said, yes. I said, oh, okay. So we always need someone in our life to give us a good impression of what might be our future. I lost my mind. But anyway, we've got to be
Can you open for questions?
Oh, anything.
Any questions?
Challenges, doubts, stories. Well, I want to know from you, how many of you have been involved as a volunteer for more than 5 years? Well, I want to know what keeps you on track. What keeps you coming back for more, all the time. Anything that I've said is something that you've heard before, so, yeah.
Pass the mic.
Well, we were going to start with a question, but I'll come back.
Krishna Prasad keeps me.
Yes. I must say, Srila Prabhupada said one time, he said, if there was no prasadam, this movement would be very dry. It would just be philosophy. But we have prasadam. Very, very important. It's our secret weapon, he said. Can never be underestimated.
What keeps you going?
It keeps you on the path of Krishna consciousness, and it will also keep a man married. Right. If the wife can cook, helps the husband to keep on the track. Your wife Look, I knew him, he was very thin as a drum. Something else?
The thing that keeps me coming again and again is learning that when the devotees come to see Radha Gokunanda, we have to look after them, and that is we cannot serve directly, but we can serve Prabhupada by looking after those devotees.
Very bold. very important. What you do is very important because people they don't know who is Krishna. People may or may not know who is Krishna. But they'll know who Krishna is, how much Krishna loves them, by how you treat them, how you receive them. You know, there's a very famous story of a man he looked homeless. His shoes had holes, his clothes were smelly, his hair was all over the place. And it's a true story. He came to a hospital and he said, "I'd like to speak to the manager." And they just looked him up and down and they said, "You can't speak to anybody. You can speak to me on the reception desk." He said, "No, I'd like to speak to the manager." And he got sent on his way. Next hospital, "I'd like to speak to the manager." No, you know, you're obviously a homeless man. Next hospital he went, "All right, speak to the manager." Spoke to the manager. Said, "I have a check for $16 million. I'd like to give it to you." And I said, "Thank you so much." $16 million, but he looked like a homeless man. So in this way, we have to be accommodating to everybody who comes to Dhamma. You never know when a person has had a direct experience of Krishna. Prabhupada said one time, and I believe he said it at Bhaktivedanta Man, he said, when someone comes to the temple, you should understand that Mahavishnu has directly, personally sent him to come. And if you're meeting that person, how great a privilege it is that Mahavishnu has sent that person to meet you. There's nothing by accident. You could say just the right thing to set that person on the track. Or, if you're having a bad day, just the wrong thing.
What keeps me coming is the loving association of devotees, which you understand you have a spiritual family apart from your material family. So that's what attracts me to them.
Wow. How old are you?
I'm 30.
30? I thought you were 15. You look so young. Wow, wonderful. Yeah. Because we know what we know about the spiritual world, about Vaikuntha, where everyone is friendly. And she says she's convinced because of the reciprocation of the loving family of devotees. We need that. We really do need that. Without that, we're just some ideas in an old book. People don't know anything. You know, they read something in a book, and when you're greeting them at the temple, it comes alive for them. You know, like those pop-up books you give children. You know, you get an ordinary book with a story, and then you get a pop-up book. And you open up the pop-up book, and it just goes 3 dimensionals. So you can read Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's a good book. Okay. And you must make time in your day for reading that also, but we haven't concentrated on that. But when you meet the devotees of the Lord, and they look after you nicely, it's like the Srimad Bhagavatam pop-up version. Everything's popping into life. Because it has relevancy. It has relevancy. That this person cares enough about me, that they're speaking to me, giving me prasadam. It's a nice experience at the temple. We couldn't actually do that. One person said to me just 3 weeks ago, I was in a place in the west of England, and she was saying she went to a particular place, and she was at one temple. She was there for 3 hours. 3 hours she was at this temple. And it's not a big place, small place. And how many people spoke to her? Not one. Not one person spoke to her for the whole 3 hours. English lady. Everybody thought that everybody else was going to do it or had already done it. And there's always one person that sort of tests our system. People come. They want to know how you look after them. As they say, we don't know how much they don't care how much you know, until they know how much I care. Was our motto. Yeah.
So,
You're very sparkly today. I'm almost having to. An effulgence. Prakash is flooding my eyes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you very much for the enlightening class, and I love the Gujarati and Hindi. Really enjoyed that. My question is about prasad and sleeping. That you say that it takes like 6 hours to digest the food, but then if you are hungry, then also you can't sleep properly. Like that, if I have like 3 o'clock, like 3 p.m. I have prasad, and if I don't eat anything until 9 o'clock, then it's difficult
Yeah.
for me.
Yes, it's true. Everybody's different. You may be juggling with this for the rest of your life. Some people can do it, some people can't. I know some people who are able to eat at 11 o'clock at night. As soon as the alarm clock goes, join up in the morning. And I know some people who can't do it. But that sacred time in the morning will give us that sacred space. And it's the big challenge for all of us as not only devotees, not only living in 2025, but as householders with so much of burden of responsibility. But things are slipping, you see. You know why we call midnight? You know why we call midnight?
Middle of the night.
Because it's the middle of the night. But now, for many people, midnight has become bedtime. See? I won't embarrass anybody. But midnight has become bedtime. But originally, when the sun went down, here's a clue, God is putting the lights out. That's God putting the lights out. Okay? Go to sleep. When the sun goes down, it's Krishna saying, okay, bedtime now. It's time for the Teletubbies to go to bed. Sun is shining in the sky. Time for Teletubbies to say goodbye. Bye. Try to be childlike when it comes time to go to bed. The great temptation now, when I was a kid, 10:30 at night, a vicar, a Church of England vicar, would come on the TV and he would read out a Bible message and he would say, good night. And before 11 o'clock came, good night. It's all over. No TV. Then they changed it. Now we have 24 hours TV, 900 channels. I was in Bangalore, in India. And the lady there, she said, my husband's coming back, we can sit down and talk about Krishna consciousness. I'm just cooking in the kitchen. Yeah, you can watch TV if you like. I said, what's on TV? She said, here's the controller. 900 channels. 900 channels. All of them rubbish. I know because I went through quite a few of them. I said, what's on Indian TV? Oh, it's so bad. So bad. So bad. Anyway, the point is, it's very difficult now. TV is channels of radios, all kinds of books are there. So many books are published in this country. You know how many books are published in the UK every week? 1,000 books. 1,000 new books are published in the UK every week. So much to read, so many places to go, so many things to distract you. Okay. So many things to occupy your mind. But the greatest of all sacrifices is the Sankirtan Yajna. Sankirtan sacrifice. And you say, my Lord, I will now dedicate my time in the morning to chant your names. It's a great sacrifice. If you can do it, you win. If you don't do it, you become a spectator. You still come to the temple. You become a religious spectator. Now I said to Krishna Purna, what do I speak about? She said, I already know what you're going to speak about. You're going to speak about talking to Westerners, talking to English people. Did I do that? No, I didn't do it. You want me to do that now? When you see an English person come to Bhaktivedanta Manor, don't ignore them. That's all I'll say. Just take them. Understand that they're like pandas. You know pandas? Black and white bears. We've got to do our best because they're a dying species. So if something's an endangered species, you have to look after them. So an English person, this is what an English person looks like. He's probably not English either. Where are you from? Switzerland, yeah. English white people are even more rare. If you find one at the temple, please speak to them and smile. And you will be rewarded. The God of English people will reward you. And take the name and address if you can, or the email or something. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you. Can you please express our gratitude to His Grace, to the Mahaprabhu.
Thank you all very much.
May He keep inspiring us for many, many years to come and bless us all.
Do we have talk club today? Andrew. Bola Krishna Kanaya.
It's the best we can talk about. Right? Tell our very I'm sure many of you know Kripamoya and Mother Guru, his wife, have been looking after Bhaktivedanta Maharaj's community for many, many years. Mother Guru used to head up the school, so all the generations of children that have come through the Gurukul have somewhere been touched by the blessings of Mother Guru, and then all of us, whether Brahmacharis or young Grihasthas, we very much look up to the blessings and the guidance of the Kripamoya group. So we're very, very fortunate to have such an amazing devotee and example in our community, in our association. So please make everything worthwhile, please take advantage. And always be very, very grateful. The disciple of Srila Prabhupada as well. So it's treasure. Hare Krishna.
Are you Gujarati? You're not Gujarati? Next one. This life is purification for me. Haribol.
Not yet. So, so we'll just do continue prayers while we wait. Can you just grab the drum? Okay, please, while we wait for Prashad, please just have Narasimha prayers. Thank you.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha
Hare Krishna. So we'll break for Prasad, Lam Prasad Ki. You will all be aware, but just to kind of remind you all, once we've had Prasad, which is now until 2:30, if you can please gather back between 2:30, 3:45, when Jai Guru will be speaking about journaling. It's a small workshop, so it's probably interactive. If we have notepads or at least phones, journaling, it would be very handy for you to have something to write on. After that, we have our final kind of presentations and announcements, and by 3:45, 4 o'clock, we'll be closing the retreat. So, last couple of hours, please enjoy the prasad, and we'll start once again at 2:30. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jay.
I used to call her Usha, but
Yeah.
Usha. Not because of
Is this one?